I am determined to come back from this and make this place better than it ever was before. Not make the same mistakes, for sure, in terms of where I'm positioning things. And just clear this whole place out. Everything. Just clear it all out. And just totally start fresh. So, anyway. On July 1st, 2020, about 3 months ago, I stood right by this very spot without a giant alligator behind me, telling you about how it was the worst day in my reselling career. Today, I'm going to show you the ups and downs on how I got this problem fixed and turned it into one of the best days of my reselling career. First, let me remind you what happened right behind me. All right, well, those are the overhead ceiling tiles right there, and right there you could see the source of the problem, that pipe right there, and it had just busted, and water was just flying out of there. It damaged all of those tiles as well. It's just a chaotic scene. Water all over the place. I had taken out already some comics before I started filming, so there were other wet boxes. The water went underneath that shelf there. It went underneath all of those comics all the way to the back wall. The water went all the way to the door. I mean, it was just nuts. Now, this is the back corner of the room, and you could see how wet it is. This just goes to show how long this was going on for and how far the water had traveled. It's all the way across the room. And just to go behind all those boxes and look at this, just completely soak this box, destroyed it. This really sucks. It really, really sucks. I still have a lot of stuff here that I need to move out of here right now and tomorrow. All right, this is what things look like 3 weeks to the day after the flood. As you could see, it is still a mess in here. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be pulled out. All this stuff here needs to be pulled out. Now, this is the shipping supply shelf, and this could stay here. I just need to move it over, and I could keep this shelf in here as well, probably, but I want to take some of the more valuable things off of here, because once they start pulling down this whole drop ceiling, you know, I don't want things sliding off of the shelf, falling down, breaking, getting damaged, getting all this, pink insulation stuff on it, just get messy. So we want to make sure that that is protected. This stuff all needs to come off the floor, and this stuff all needs to come out of here, because this is going to be a main area where big changes occur. So instead of me using comic book boxes as the main area where I would ship stuff, that's going to be replaced by a 7-foot long shipping station, which is going to have a nice table on top, and then it's going to have storage, open storage underneath, and that's going to be complemented by a 7-foot long shelf, a real sturdy professional shelf, as opposed to something like this, what we just got at a at like Home Depot or something. Like this is going to be contractor built. So I'm definitely excited about that. You can see my green screen is set up right here. This is how I do the live show. So there's the green screen, and this is the table I normally work at. These comic book boxes, they all got to come out of here. This drop ceiling is, again, all going to come down. And the reason for that is because, well, I'll show you a couple things. Number one is that there's these stains that are on top of some of the ceiling tiles that I hate. And then there's also, part of it here that sags. So we don't want that. But the other reason is because the flood originated from a pipe back there. Hey, what are you guys doing? Are you kidding me? You two are supposed to be working, not playing in the insulation and hanging off the beam. The last thing I need is another workers' comp claim from you clowns. Jesus, get down there, you two. My goodness. I'll talk to you about this later. Anyway, that's the culprit right there. That is where the flood originated from. So we're gonna get all this insulation out and we'll expose it so it'll be a nice industrial look, and there'll be some things we paint over. But right now, I gotta get to work. I've got a live show, a thrift battle in like an hour and 45 minutes. So we're gonna clear out as much as possible and then work on the rest later. Hey everyone, well it is 1 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. My contractor is going to be here in about 6 hours, so I need to try to get a little bit of sleep between now and then, and I definitely earned it today. Clearing the stuff out of that room was a very challenging task. I mean, you saw how much stuff was in there, and that was after, you know, a few weeks of me just taking stuff out here and there. But boy, oh boy, there was a lot in there, really. So what I'm going to do is just put the camera on in that room one last time just to show you what it looks like before they start the work, and tell you a few other things just in terms of some ideas we had once we cleared the space. So let me take you in there. All right, here it is, PTHQ, as empty as you are going to see it until I ever move out of this location one day. But you know, this is just a drastic difference. Obviously, you could probably hear the difference in the acoustics because there's just not a lot of stuff in here anymore. So things just kind of echo and bounce off the walls. But I'll give you a full perspective on it from different angles. I've got the wide angle camera lens on, so that'll help when we move over here, so you can really, you know, see the whole thing, and you could probably tell the acoustic difference. I notice it right now. It's just so different. So I just can't wait to get this down and just, you know, have the additional space from that. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but this pipe coming down right here, we're getting this snipped off right at the top here. So this is just something from the prior owner who is here, the original owner of the house. He basically lived down here, and so he had washer and dryer hookups and everything, but we don't need this. And so this just creates a barrier for me when I'm trying to put things, you know, flush against the wall. It's just basically an obstruction. So we want to get rid of that. In terms of what we're going to do with the book cases here, or, you know, the shelving units, this one's going to just go back essentially, you know, where I had it over here. Now, the other two, what we're going to do, see, I don't want to put it here again because I don't want inventory, even though, you know, I'm taking steps to never have something like that flood happen again. But you never know. I don't want any inventory under water pipes anymore. So I'm not putting that shelving unit back there. So the question is, where are we going to put it? Well, we had a thought of taking one of these and putting it next to the 7-foot long workbench that's going to go over here, but we figured, actually Mrs. Primetime came up with the idea. She said, let's take these two and turn them like this one right here in this direction, and so you'll have one like this and then the other one just kind of back to back, so that when I walk in they'll be flush against the wall, but, you know, tuck back a little bit, and I could use them as like back-to-back inventory storage system. So I said, you know what? All right, I'll take a look at that and we'll see how it looks. It's one of these things you got to try it out and see how it looks. So, you know, we'll see what we'll do with that. Our refrigerator will pretty much stay where it is. And one thing we decided to do with the table, we tried it. We tried turning it, and it just didn't make sense. It was just a big obstruction in the middle of the room. It was just a weird place to put the green screen going here. So what we're going to do, we think, is we're going to put the green screen back here and then also have it so I could put a white curtain or like a white background, so I could use this as a photo staging area as well. So that would be cool. So then when I do my live shows, you know, I'll be here, I have the green screen here, and then I could even have better lighting because I could put a light here, I could put a light here, and I could put a light right there. So that'll be nice. 3 lights instead of the 2 I'm using now. I used to just use 1. One last thing, this has been a little traumatizing tonight, both emotionally and physically, because when I went through some of the inventory that was on here, I found some, additional stuff that was damaged and, just more ruined inventory, moldy books, that kind of thing. It just got me annoyed seeing. And so, just when you think it's over, you get another reminder of it. The other thing I want to make sure I mention, just as a safety issue, because this really could have wound up, I mean, it was bad what happened to me, but it could have been much, much worse, is I was moving these shelving units around, and you could see here, they're supposed to lock in like this, and they do, generally they're locked in, but what I did is I was trying to move these around and obviously, position them away from the wall. And so I took both of my hands here, I took this hand here, and then I had this hand over here, and I just like lifted them up to kind of just move the shelving units open. And what happened is that this popped up, and this one popped up too, like they both popped up, and then they fell down. And they both, you could see here my hand, what happened is, and the other one as well, they both came down. Miss Primetime put like some sturdy strips on them. They both came down and basically pinched my skin off, and it just definitely hurt. Again, it could have been way, way worse, but you got to be careful. I then afterwards put gloves on, of course, after I cut my finger. So I am not having good luck with my hands. First, in a glue trap, they got stuck in a glue trap, and then this time, with the pinching on the sides of this. So, of course it, had to happen to me as being the guinea pig. But hopefully, that saves someone else from that happening. Just passing that story out. Well, it's 7:30 in the morning. May the reconstruction begin. All right, well, it's the night of September 9th, 2020, and I'm thinking back to over a month ago when I made a video standing right around here thinking that this was all going to be done the next day. I was so excited and everything, and boy, oh boy, was I wrong. Sometimes, like you see on TV when they do these home improvement shows, something happens unexpectedly, something goes seriously wrong, and it really just slows everything down and costs a lot more money than you had originally planned for. And that's what happened here. So originally, what the plan was to pull down the drop down ceiling and then take out the insulation and just expose everything and have more of an industrial look in that room. And then the other part was to build a nice work station area for me where I could do my shipping. Now, the good news is the workstation part, that whole thing being built out, that worked out very well. So all that is done. I've stained it and everything. So that's good. That's very functional. But what happened was when we pulled out the insulation, now mind you, the contractor and I even had a home inspector come over here just to take a look because we were having like some little animal that was running around that we were trying to find, and he had opened up the drop down ceiling, and he said, you guys don't even need this insulation. It's not even doing anything. So we've had multiple people tell us that. Well, boy, oh boy, was that wrong, because when we took out all of that insulation, it's like the Pink Panther insulation. Oh my goodness, it was so loud. I heard every single noise from everywhere in the house, and not only that, everyone in the house heard me. So if I just used packing tape, it sounded like thunder all the way up on the second floor, and there was just no way this was going to work. And that was on Friday, I believe. So I called my contractor or texted him. I let him know what was going on. And he's like, boy, oh boy, I can't believe that. I'm sorry to hear that. He goes, well, I could come over Monday morning and I could put up new insulation. So I said, okay. I said, well, could you put something in better than what we had the last time? So at least I feel a little bit better about it that we're putting in something improved. And he's like, sure, there's stuff out there I could get. And so he goes out and he gets mineral wool, which I had read about. And it is good as a sound barrier, but the problem is how it looks. Let me show you. All right, well, this is mineral wool, and as you can see, it is not a pretty sight. It's a gross color. It's like this yellowish, brown, gray color. It's all chunky and all kind of just mushed up, and broken, and it's just nasty how it looks. And I certainly do not want to look up at this every single time that I come down here. This should be a place that I enjoy going to, that I have fun going to. And certainly looking at this is not going to do that. The other issue is that if you start poking around here, you're going to start having like little pieces of this stuff coming down, and you're going to start breathing it in. And I don't want to be breathing in mineral wool fibers. So that's another problem. So I told my contractor, no way is that going to work. We need to cover that somehow. And he said, all right, I have a solution. I said, what's that? He said, well, I go out and I could buy a thin black plastic covering that would just go over the entire ceiling, and it'll make it, look much better than it is now. So I said, all right, go ahead, go get it and, put it in, and we'll see what happens. So he goes out, he gets it, he puts it in, and I was absolutely mortified when I saw what it looked like. Let me show you. Okay, so as you can see, this is what my ceiling wound up turning into, which is essentially a big, giant, black garbage bag. Absolutely no way is this going to be something that I am going to walk down every day too. So I knew I had to come up with another solution. This is part of a bag that I had actually pulled down here, because I'm going to tell you what we're going to do tomorrow instead. Here you could see this is the pink fiberglass insulation. He actually took some and put it over this big vent area because he couldn't really get this mineral wool into there. So that was a solution there. But you could see here how this actually looks better compared to this stuff. But remember, we had pulled all of this stuff out of here and then tried to upgrade it to something else, but it's just not as aesthetically pleasing. So what are we going to do? All right, so at this point, I knew that I had to bring over somebody who specialized in insulation, specifically someone who knew something about sound insulation, so I stopped wasting money on this project. And I got someone over who does exactly that. This person does insulation for a living and is literally certified in the topic. And so the solution that he came up with is to install 2-inch thick black soundboard tiles that go across the entire ceiling. These could be cut and customized to go into certain spots. They are removable, so they screw into the top wooden part of the ceiling, into the joists and everything. And so if I ever need to access the water, for example, we could easily get there by just removing, a few screws or whatever. So that is the plan. Now, when is this going to take place? Well, tomorrow morning. So what I have to do is just clear everything out of that room because I needed it functional. So I had stuff in there for a while. So this is just another pain in the neck part of the process. But it's been over a month since the initial construction was done. And so now we're at this next stage right here. So hopefully this is the end of it. If everything works out tomorrow, then all I have to do is put the finishing touches in terms of like decoration and stuff. And we should be all set. So fingers crossed that this works out tomorrow. All right, so I've teased you long enough. It's time to turn the camera around and do the big reveal. So let's go. All right, so here is the new and improved entrance to the new and improved Primetime Treasure headquarters and film studio. First, I'm going to give you just a broad general look around the room, and then we'll go into things in more specific. There's just so much to show you. There's so much work that was done on this. It's absolutely crazy. All the little details really took a long time to kind of plan out and figure out, but finally it has come together. So as you can see here, this is just the biggest functional improvement for me, because now instead of just working on top of comic book boxes, I have this nice 7-foot long shelf to work on. It's really strong and sturdy, and it helps me when I have lots of big projects and stuff that I need to package up. So that's a lot of fun. Mrs. Primetime is going to do some polyurethane work on this over the next few days, just so it you know, protects it from little dings and stuff. And probably that one down there too. As you can see here, there's another shelf that is also 7 feet, but it just doesn't come out as much, just so I could, you know, reach in and kind of grab stuff and it doesn't, you know, mess with my legs or anything. But as you can see here, it's all designed to be functional, including this 7-foot long shelf as well. We didn't originally plan to have that one there, but then just kind of spur of the moment, we decided to add it. So in terms of functionality, you know, what do I use the most? Well, you know, I'm using these types of envelopes a lot of times with all the stuff that I'm shipping out, comic books and, you know, all sorts of paper items. So they're right here for me to grab. Everything's about a handful away, including, you know, different types of eBay polymailers, and they're organized according to size. I've got priority flat rates here, and, you know, I've got my smaller envelopes here as well. You know, if I run out of tape from my tape gun, I've got all the resupply stuff right here, including the Scotch tape too. Postcard sleeves are here, and just, you know, a bunch of cardboard stacks, as you can see here, that I use for protecting the types of paper products that I send out and other items. This box here is just a nice way to keep bigger boxes condensed. So just, you know, flatten them out and just have them in there organized. So those are all generally big, giant, square boxes. I have other boxes up here, like I have the, you know, 8x6x4s and the 10x8x6s and the 12x6x6, and I have extras in the shed if I need to just, you know, grab them and refill this and, you know, put it up a little bit higher. Another thing I'm really excited about, because this was something that was causing me a lot of problems, is not being able to figure out exactly, you know, how much I had of each size of these different types of backing board. So here's a treasury size one over here. And then over here, we have the art print size. So these are the 11x17s. And then here are the Life magazine size ones. And you can see I have them all labeled there somewhere. So I've got the bags and the board, so I know exactly when it is that I am running out of stuff. Now, special shout out right over here to Carl Bach. He's a very important guy on my channel. Thanks, Carl. He sent Triclops over to me, so another Masters of the Universe reference in here. I'll show you some more later. And this was sent to me, created and signed by Chris Avalos from the Thrift Shop Hustler YouTube channel. So go check him out. Thanks a lot, Chris. Love Merman. So 2 Masters of the Universe pieces right there. The signage was very important to me, as you'll see throughout the room. You know, this spot here is where I spend the majority of my time. So it's good that I have Little Pinky and Spider-Man here hanging out with me on the Pepsi side. I love Pepsi products, not just Mountain Dew, but I also love Pepsi. And, you know, I have my pens here. So it's just a nice little spot just to keep some, you know, little things that you might use here and there. And having comic related stuff, you know, this is what I'm so passionate about. I want to be surrounded by this stuff. I took the Silver Surfer sign out of the shed and I added it here. A couple other things I took out of the shed as well. Spider-Man, Punisher, also, you know, 2 of my favorites, Batman, surrounded all by my favorite stuff. This is just a running joke that this is me and Mrs. Primetime. As all of you know, I love cheetah print stuff on the ladies, and so we got that there. So that's a joke we have. And then these here are actual comic books. So, you know, Submariner #1, Groot the Wanderer, definitely one of my favorite comic characters of all time. I have the whole series, so I love it. I decided to put that there. And I like this because this gives me some flexibility if I want to just rearrange things or, you know, put different books there. I have different options and mix things up. Now here I wanted to bring some Doctor Who into the room, my favorite television show of all time, longest running sci-fi show. And so here you can see I have more of a vintage look with the Peter Cushing's Doctor Who and the Daleks movie. And then my favorite Doctor of all, hands down, he's the best ever, Tom Baker, Bakey Boy Bakes in the house. So he's right there. I have some additional comic book stuff here. Shout out to Chris Robertson because I purchased this sign from him, Cajun Reseller. And so I've got the Pac-Man pointing up to the other signs here. My daughter got me this, the Primetime Treasure Hunter sign. So I added that and I moved the Penguin Place sign over there. Now, in terms of the ceiling, boy, oh boy, doesn't this look a lot better than a garbage bag? This is awesome. As you can see, they screw in here with these little areas over here, these little circular areas. So if I needed to take the panels down, I could. Just to show you kind of what they're like, they are actually, it's insulation, but it has a streamline look to it. So now I have double the insulation that I had before. It's nice and toasty warm down here, which is awesome. So I still have all that mineral wool up top, and then I have another layer of insulation here, which also helps with sound. This is a really big improvement, which is the new film studio area. And the big improvement is the use of this 10-foot long steel pole to basically install this slidable green screen, which is what I use to get a lot of those cool background effects in my videos. And by allowing me to slide it down like that, it does a few things that helps me. So first of all, it enables me to have the flexibility of having this white background behind me as well, which sometimes I use, for example, now for photo shoots for the thumbnails that I make for my YouTube videos. And, I could partially achieve that type of effect by having the 3 lights shining on it, right against that white wall. The other thing is that previously, when I had the drop-down ceiling here, the only way I could have a green screen was by basically dangling it off of the drop-down ceiling tiles and clamping it in with clothespins. And inevitably what would happen is that the clothespins would pop off, or I'd make one wrong movement and the entire green screen would come falling down, and then I'd have to assemble it again, and it would waste like 5 to 10 minutes of my time. And obviously with it being clamped on with these pins here, I don't have that type of problem at all. Now, another improvement to this film studio area is now I have a leather chair, which is a big improvement compared to that hardwood chair that I was sitting on for all of those years. And after a while, that could really be uncomfortable. So this is a big improvement. And I invested in a new laptop earlier this year, and I'm solely using it for video production. And so that's important because I could just keep it right here. And that helps because, in the past, I had a laptop that I was just shuttling back and forth between here and other rooms. And I hated to do that because that just, increases the chance that it's going to get damaged along the way, or you're going to drop it by accident. That was always my biggest fear. So now I don't have to worry about it. I just keep it right here. This is my little secret notepad that I write little notes in when I'm doing my shows and stuff. And, I always like to have something to drink down here. And this is a little coaster. I want to give a shout out to Patty Patierno. She is a moderator in my Facebook group, and I bought this from her. So go check out my YouTube video on the person who made over $1,000 in sales for the Support That Seller Sunday event that we have in my Facebook group, and you could see all about her business model and how she does this. So that's in that video. But anyway, I'm very, very happy with how this all came out here. And I've got 3 ring lights here, and that's just going to really maximize the video quality that people are going to see when they tune in to watch the videos. And I've got just nice space to relax. I've got a place to put my legs. Previously, there were comic book boxes all along here, and I used to film this way. I used to sit here, and there were comic boxes all underneath. I never had any leg room. Now I could kick back and relax. This also gives me flexibility, because what I could do now is I could actually just easily turn this around. I could just take these lights, I could put them on the other side, swing my chair, over in the other direction. And now, we could do videos where this is the background, and you could look at this, and I could change things around here and there. And so it could give it more of a personal, homey feel. By the way, shout out to Pac-Man as well, because I love Pac-Man stuff. That's why you could see 2 Pac-Man things here. Another thing that has been a big help is that I now have different area rugs here. So this has been great because, you know, you could see this is a concrete floor and it was always very cold, even if I had socks on coming down here. And so now it's nice and warm, and it also helps with sound absorption. So that's important as well. This was what was in the box that I showed at the end of the prior video. I was waiting for a rug to go over here. Now, I might change this over time, but right now I'm going with Batman. But, you know, it was hard to find something comic themed that I liked that fit in this space. But this is nice and warm and comfortable as well. Under here, right here, I just have some, you know, a nice under storage area. So these are some bigger items that you might remember I took out from the garage. And I just have it here, and it just reminds me that I need to get this stuff listed. Again, to emphasize the functional nature of the space, what do I use a lot? I use a lot of bubble wrap and air cushioning and stuff, air pillows. So I make sure I have all this stuff right next to me. My tape, I have my measuring tape as well. And I had to keep this here too because Jessie Shops sent me this. And I absolutely love this, that she wrote world's best treasure hunter, and she put my thumbs up symbol on there. And so this is very special to me. It really means a lot to me. And so I always want this right here in front of me. So thank you very much, Jessie. I know you're watching this. And here's my tape gun as well. So I've got some inventory that's on here, and this is just going to be something that evolves, and I'll figure out, you know, exactly what I want to do with this part of the space. And so Cha-Cha's moved over here, and she is wearing one of the jackets that I have listed right now, this Nebraska Cornhuskers one, and she's got another jacket on behind that pink wool one that I found. So it's just a efficient way to store stuff, you know, and something that'll just change over time. So a little changing decor. And I've got the Tiki Lounge sign on her because it's just something fun to look at when you're walking in. And I love tiki stuff, so that's cool. I've got a lot of postcards here, so those are consolidated in one space. I still have the dehumidifier there, and a few other boxes here. Like this is the record size box that eBay put out. So I like this one. Highly recommend it for records. It's the 12.5 by 12.5 one. So I like that. You know, slop sink, paper towels are up top. How can I forget Pink Panther? He's hanging out over here. And then baby Pink Panther found his way over here. He's hanging out with the He-Man guys. Down here, you could see this little white device here. What that is a flood alarm. Now, you remember the culprit for the flood was this pipe, which I can now have access to with my hand, and I can just turn the spigot on and off. But you'll notice I don't have any inventory here anymore. So that is gone, like not in this section. And any inventory that I do have in here is not near any water pipes or anything like that. So that is good. Nothing's going to like drip right on top of it or anything. And I have another one of those flood alarms right over there as well. And it comes with a third one that I'm going to put into the shed just in case there's any issue over there. So it will instantly alert me, and it attaches to Wi-Fi. So I'll let you know in the future how it works. I don't want to recommend it until I've had some time to really work with it. Now, some of you might be wondering what this lavender purplish kind of thing is. What these are insulation boards that are covering a vent that goes all the way across here. So this is to further prevent noise from traveling from here to the upper levels. Now, I don't plan on keeping it looking like this. As you can see, you know, there's some clear tape on and stuff. So the idea is for me to either cover this with, you know, just things I like, you know, comic book stuff, or, you know, just different kind of prints of, you know, kind of art that I like. Or if you are interested, let me know in the comments or send a message to primetimetreasure, no S, at gmail.com. If you're interested in sending me like a postcard or something, what I could do is in the videos, I could attach these. And so then when you watch the videos, you could see like, you know, something you contributed as part of this room. So I've been getting a lot more like fan mail type of stuff and things. So I thought that might be a cool idea. I could, you know, put some underneath as well. And it's pretty long, so we could get a lot of different people involved in that project if that's something you're interested in. So, definitely just let me know. All right, so I don't want to forget this area over here. It's very important, especially to my comic book business, because what I've decided to do is to take all of the trade paperback books, pull them out, and put them on these two shelves, and they go two layers in. And what I'm doing, I'm alphabetizing all of them. Now, I have many more than what you see here, but this is just the initial stages of it. And what I'm doing is I am alphabetizing them so I can more easily build lots and find things that I need when people ask for it. I am working on systematically eliminating the books that are in these stacks here. I've actually sold a lot of books that were previously on here the last time I showed it to you, and I've been pulling books from other areas and just replacing spots as things have sold. So, but eventually all these books are going to be gone, and then I'm going to have more space for trade paperbacks. Down here on the bottom, I have role-playing game types of books, and then other types of magazine stacks here. Like here's a bunch of Star Trek magazines here, and it's all Star Trek. So shout out to Thrifty Esme and her YouTube channel. She's a big supporter here, so go check her out as well. These are a few containers that are filled all with clothes, so I do sell some clothing as well. And shout out to Clint Eastwood. I definitely wanted to get him featured prominently as well. He's right next to that good, the bad, and the ugly sign there. So again, I mean, it's just amazing. There's just so much, so much space now. It just feels like such a different room. It's unbelievable to me. One other thing I want to point out that's very important is this sign over here. This is a sign I will never sell. It's the most special sign that I have, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So this sign here was the sign that hung above the entrance to Penny Pantry in Freehold, New Jersey. Shout out to Carol Cedrone, by the way, who I know is a big Freehold, New Jersey fan, given her love of Bruce Springsteen. But anyway, I worked at that store for years when I was a kid. It was my first real job after delivering newspapers. And this place, which is still there to this day on Pond Road, that is a place where I really first developed the dream to have my own business one day. Back then, didn't know there would be such a thing as an internet, so I was thinking more brick and mortar back then. But still, I just love the idea of having my own business and running it and being my own boss, and just developing it from there. And so this sign, they were nice enough, the new owners were nice enough to give it to me when I told them my story, and it's my daughter's favorite sign as well. And so I always look at this, and it's a real special thing for me to see every time I'm down here. And I want to make sure I give a special shout out to Ray, who was the owner of Penny Pantry. He has since passed away. But if he's watching this from somewhere, I've told him this once before when he was at the end of his years, but he really, really helped along with other people in my life, but he really did help instill a really strong work ethic in me that has lasted to this day. All right, everyone. Well, that is the end. I am so happy and so relieved to be able to show you this. It's symbolic that I am standing right now, literally under the area where all that water was coming out that flooded this room and led to so many just feelings of just dejection and frustration and sadness and just you name it. I mean, all the negative feelings were there, and to now feel like I do at this moment, it's just a giant turnaround. And so that gets to an important topic that I need to make sure I end off on talking to you about with your business, is that this is part of what's going to happen in business. And in life, you're going to have bad things that happen to you, and they're going to be unexpected. And even when you are trying to recover from those things or get back on your feet, you're going to have things like happen with this project, like the ceiling and stuff and the problems with the insulation, that are going to come and are going to knock you down. And when that happens, you've got to get back up on your feet. And if you get knocked down again, you get up a little bit quicker. And the faster you keep getting knocked down, the faster you keep getting back up and ready to just get back at it. So it's just really, really important to be able to do that, or else, you know, the only other option is just going to give up, and you can't have that be an option for you. Don't have that in your vocabulary. So with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel, and pass it on to someone else. Right now, I'm going to go and pack up a comic book in my new spot. Take care, everyone.